The Philosopher's Stone, a legendary artifact, whispered about in both Muggle and Wizarding worlds. To the ordinary eye, it was nothing more than a mythical relic, a footnote in history books or a fairy tale spun by alchemists who dared to dream beyond their mortal bounds. But in truth, the stone was real, created by the alchemist Nicholas Flamel, a wizard whose name would forever be intertwined with its legacy. Capable of producing the elixir of life and turning any metal into pure gold, the Philosopher's Stone stood as the pinnacle of magical achievement. Yet, despite its incredible power, no wizard after Flamel sought to recreate it. The question remains, why? Why would the magical community, so often driven by ambition and the pursuit of knowledge, fear bringing the stone into existence once more? To understand this fear, one must first appreciate the delicate nature of magic itself. Magic, as any Hogwarts student learns, is not without cost. The greater the magic, the graver the consequences. The Philosopher's Stone, for all its wondrous properties, defied the very laws of nature. It granted eternal life, a feat even the darkest of wizards could only dream of achieving. But therein lay its greatest danger. Immortality had long been sought after, but never without corruption. Wizards who pursued it, whether through Horcruxes, the Resurrection Stone, or even the fabled Fountain of Fair Fortune, often found themselves trapped in a fate far worse than death. Flamel himself, despite living for over 6 centuries, ultimately chose to destroy the stone rather than risk it falling into the wrong hands. If the creator of such a marvel willingly let it perish, then surely the dangers it posed were not to be ignored. There is also the undeniable truth that magic, when pushed beyond its limits, fights back. The mere act of alchemy, transforming one substance into another, requires immense skill and knowledge. Yet attempting to forge something as potent as the Philosopher's Stone would be playing with forces beyond human control. The wizards of old understood this. Even among the most skilled magical scholars, there was an unspoken rule. Some boundaries were not meant to be crossed, while ordinary transfiguration could be reversed. The Philosopher's Stone changed matter in a way that was absolute. Gold created by the stone did not return to its original form, and the elixir of life, if abused, could shatter the natural order, leading to consequences no wizard could predict or contain. And then, of course, there was the matter of power. Few artifacts in wizarding history have carried such universal allure. Power in itself is not inherently evil, but history has proven time and again that power invites conflict. The Dark Lord himself sought the Philosopher's Stone, not out of scholarly curiosity, but to extend his life indefinitely. If it had fallen into his hands, the wizarding world might have been lost to an age of eternal darkness. But even beyond Voldemort, one must ask, what wizard could truly be trusted with such a creation? No wizard, no matter how noble, is immune to the seduction of power. To hold the Philosopher's Stone was to wield dominion over life and death, and that is a weight no mortal should bear. The destruction of the stone was not merely an act of caution. It was an understanding that some magic is too great to wield. A lesson that echoes throughout the ages, from the cautionary tales of Beedle the Bard to the tragedies of those who sought to defy death itself. The fear of recreating the Philosopher's Stone was not just about its power, it was about what it represented. A temptation too great, a cost too steep, and a truth too harsh. Some things are not meant to last forever. Yet, for all the reasons to fear its recreation, one must wonder, was the Philosopher's Stone truly lost forever? Flamel may have destroyed it, but he was not the only alchemist of his time, nor was he the last. The knowledge of alchemy, though rare, was never completely erased. Ancient texts, buried within the restricted sections of libraries or hidden in the vaults of powerful wizarding families, still contained whispers of the secrets he uncovered. Some have speculated that the formula for the stone's creation, or at the very least, the foundations of its alchemical principles, may yet exist in some form. The question then is not whether it could be recreated, but rather if anyone would dare to attempt it. Few wizards in history have possessed both the intellect and the sheer magical capability required to craft such an object. Even within the esteemed halls of Hogwarts, where magical theory and practical spellwork were rigorously taught, there was no course on alchemy beyond basic transmutations. The few who delved into the subject were met with layers of mystery and complexity that deterred all but the most determined minds. Flamel himself had centuries to perfect his craft. How could a modern wizard, no matter how gifted, hope to match his genius? The real fear, however, is not merely in the difficulty of its recreation, but in the consequences of its success. For every wizard who might seek the stone for wisdom, there would be 10 more who sought it for personal gain. The Ministry of Magic, for all its bureaucracy, had long since understood the danger of unchecked ambition. The Department of Mysteries, where some of the greatest magical secrets are studied and safeguarded, had likely spent centuries ensuring that knowledge of the Philosopher's Stone did not resurface in the wrong hands. If such knowledge were to be uncovered, the consequences would be catastrophic. Wars had been fought over lesser artifacts. What would wizards be willing to do for a second chance at eternity? Even among those who might attempt its recreation with the purest of intentions, there remains the question of its moral implications. The elixir of life was not merely a potion. It was a fundamental shift in the nature of existence. What would it mean for a wizarding society if death could be avoided indefinitely? Would the magical world be ruled by an elite few who refused to pass on, hoarding power across generations? And what of the balance between magic and nature? Wizards may have the ability to defy death temporarily, but nature always finds a way to reclaim what it is owed. Even Flamel, after centuries of life, chose to step aside. If he, with all his wisdom, saw the necessity of an ending, then perhaps that was the final warning all wizards should heed. One must also consider the inherent instability of magical creations. The Philosopher's Stone was not just rare, it was unique. Magical artifacts, from the Elder Wand to the cursed opal necklace that once plagued Borgin and Burkes, carried with them a history of bloodshed and misfortune. Who is to say that a new Philosopher's Stone would function as flawlessly as Flamel's? Alchemy was never an exact science, and a single miscalculation in its creation could have unpredictable results. A stone that did not grant true immortality, but instead twisted and corrupted its user. An elixir that extended life, but at the cost of one's magic. A stone that functioned, but only temporarily, leaving its users desperate for more. These were not impossible outcomes. Indeed, they were the likeliest. The weight of these dangers had not been lost on the wizarding world. Generations of scholars, alchemists, and magical historians had debated the Philosopher's Stone, not as an opportunity, but as a warning. To create such an object was to invite destruction, not just for the individual, but for the entire magical community. It was not a question of whether it could be done. It was a question of whether the world could survive the consequences if it were. Despite the fear and caution surrounding its recreation, the temptation of the Philosopher's Stone has never truly faded. Even in modern times, the allure of immortality and boundless wealth remains as potent as ever. Some wizards, particularly those who have dabbled in the dark arts, have spent lifetimes searching for remnants of Flamel's work. But therein lies the cruel irony. True immortality is never freely given, and those who seek it often suffer the most tragic fates. The Dark Lord himself, in his relentless pursuit of eternal life, turned to Horcruxes, a twisted perversion of immortality that left his soul shattered beyond repair. It is no coincidence that wizards who crave power over life and death are often the ones who meet the most unnatural ends. The Philosopher's Stone was, in many ways, the opposite of a Horcrux. Whereas Horcruxes required the unnatural severing of a soul through murder, the elixir of life was said to sustain the body and soul in harmony. Yet both were born from the same desire, the fear of death, the refusal to accept the natural cycle. If Horcruxes were forbidden and reviled, could it not be argued that the Philosopher's Stone, despite its more elegant nature, was just as dangerous? Would a world where death was optional be a world worth living in at all? One of the greatest concerns among wizarding scholars is the unknown price of using the stone. Even if one were to successfully recreate it, there is no guarantee it would work as Flamel's did. Alchemy, like all magic, has laws. Laws that cannot be broken without consequence. What if the elixir of life required more than simple ingredients? What if it demanded a sacrifice, a cost that no wizard had yet discovered? If such questions remain unanswered, and perhaps it is better that they do, there are fates worse than death, and to meddle with the fundamental nature of existence is to invite the unknown. Moreover, the Philosopher's Stone was never merely an object. It was a symbol of human ambition, of the ceaseless quest for knowledge, and of the delicate balance between power and responsibility. Even Flamel, the one man who had mastered its secrets, understood that the world was not ready for such power. If he, with centuries of wisdom, chose to destroy it, then perhaps the greatest lesson the stone left behind was this: not everything that can be created should be. There are limits to what wizards should seek, and some mysteries are better left unsolved. Ultimately, the fear of recreating the Philosopher's Stone is not just about the magic itself. It is about what it would do to those who wielded it. Wizards have long struggled with the temptation of power, and few have proven strong enough to resist its call. The Philosopher's Stone, for all its wonders, is a test, one that the wizarding world has wisely chosen not to take again. For as much as it offered, it demanded more. And in the end, the greatest magic of all may be the ability to let go. Yet, even with the Philosopher's Stone lost to history, the echoes of its existence continue to shape the wizarding world. The legend of Nicholas Flamel remains a subject of fascination, a tale told in hushed tones in Hogwarts corridors and debated endlessly among magical scholars. Some believe that Flamel's wisdom did not perish with the stone, that he left behind clues scattered throughout magical texts, waiting for the right mind to piece them together. Others argue that he took his secrets to the grave, ensuring that no wizard, no matter how gifted or well-intentioned, could walk the same path. But even if the method of its creation has been lost, the desire for the Philosopher's Stone will never truly fade. Wizards and witches throughout history have shown that no matter how many times they are warned, they will always seek ways to transcend their mortal limitations. Even the existence of the Deathly Hallows, 3 legendary objects designed to defy death, proves that the fear of the end is one of the most powerful forces driving wizard kind. And though the Hallows were ultimately shown to be dangerous in their own right, they still captivated those who longed for mastery over death. The Philosopher's Stone was no different. If it had ever been made once, what was stopping someone from making it again? The Ministry of Magic, for all its bureaucracy, has long been aware of this danger. It is likely that their unspeakables, those who work in the Department of Mysteries, have spent centuries ensuring that such knowledge remains buried. After all, if a single wizard were to recreate the Philosopher's Stone, it would not remain a secret for long. The mere rumor of its existence would be enough to set the entire wizarding world ablaze. Dark wizards, power-hungry politicians, and desperate souls seeking to evade death would stop at nothing to possess it. No fortress would be secure enough, no magic strong enough to keep it hidden. Wars have been fought over lesser treasures. What chaos would the promise of eternal life bring? Even beyond the wizarding world, the Philosopher's Stone would present an even greater risk: the potential exposure of magic itself. The statute of secrecy exists to keep wizards hidden from muggles, but what if a discovery so profound, so undeniably miraculous, were to be made? The ability to create unlimited gold would be enough to disrupt entire economies. The power to defy death, that would shake the very foundations of society itself. The Ministry's greatest fear has always been the collapse of the magical order. And the Philosopher's Stone represents exactly the kind of power that could make that fear a reality. Perhaps then the greatest reason the stone has not been recreated is not just fear, but wisdom. The knowledge required to forge it may still exist in fragmented pieces, hidden in long-forgotten alchemical manuscripts, buried in the deepest vaults of Gringotts, or even lying dormant in the minds of those who have inherited Flamel's legacy. But the wizards of today know better than to chase that knowledge. They have seen what happens to those who seek too much power, and they have learned that some mysteries are better left untouched. After all, the greatest secret of the Philosopher's Stone was never in its magic, but in the choice to let it go. And so, the Philosopher's Stone remains one of the greatest mysteries of the wizarding world, a legend, a warning, and a temptation all in one. It is a tale whispered among alchemists who still dream of transmutation, debated among historians who wonder what secrets Flamel truly took to his grave, and feared by those who understand the consequences of wielding such power. For all the advancements in magic, all the discoveries made since its destruction, no wizard has dared to walk the same path, not because it is impossible, but because they know what it would cost. The story of the stone is not just about its power, but about the lessons it left behind. It teaches that even the greatest of magical achievements must be approached with humility. That just because something can be done does not mean it should be. That the pursuit of eternal life, when taken too far, leads only to ruin. Nicolas Flamel, the only known master of the Philosopher's Stone, lived longer than any wizard in recorded history, and yet, in the end, he chose to let go. In doing so, he left behind a legacy greater than any spell or artifact. He left behind the wisdom to know when enough is enough. And that, perhaps, is why the Philosopher's Stone will never be recreated. Not because it is beyond the reach of modern wizards, nor because the magic has been lost, but because the fear it instills is greater than the reward it promises. Wizards have learned through history that immortality is never a gift. It is a curse in disguise. The Dark Lord sought eternity and was reduced to something less than human. The creators of Horcruxes found themselves haunted by their own unnatural existence. And even Flamel, who had unlocked the true path to long life, ultimately understood that eternity was not meant for mortals. So the Philosopher's Stone remains lost to time, its secrets buried deeper than any spellbook or potion formula. Perhaps there will come a day when a wizard, bold or foolish enough, attempts to defy the lessons of the past. But if history has proven anything, it is that magic always demands a price. The Philosopher's Stone may offer gold and life, but at what cost? It is a question no wizard has been willing to answer, and perhaps that is for the best. In the end, the true magic of the Philosopher's Stone was never in the gold it created, nor the life it extended. It was in the wisdom to walk away, a wisdom that, to this day, protects the wizarding world from a power too great to wield. And so, the legend remains, untouched by time, a cautionary tale for all who seek to outlive their own fate. The stone is gone, and with it, the temptation to chase eternity. For, as every witch and wizard must eventually learn, there is no magic greater than knowing when to let go.